Good morning, and thank you so much for finding time again to being with us today. We had our earlier show in the morning, early, it's still morning, where we were looking at the headlines. But right now, the show is Diplomatic Leaks, and we want to look at the politics of high prices in Kenya. I know Kenyans have been complaining because their pockets are depleted. There's no money in there, and the little they have cannot afford to buy them. The basic commodities that otherwise 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago could be easily affordable. The prices of things have gone up, and of course, politics have taken center stage, even in this economy that has been beaten up by COVID-19, and which is recovering from some of the effects, and not just in Kenya, but across the world, indeed. So this, we shall base our conversation around that topic. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a pleasure to have you on board. Joining me from the other side is Paul Onyango. Paul, a very good afternoon to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Miriam.
Sorry. I don't know why I'm already in the afternoon. I don't know why I'm hurrying to go home, but I'm sorry. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
All right, nice
you
to...
can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry, earlier on we had a bit of a technical hitch from your part, so we missed a very valuable contribution from you. So maybe you'll touch on some of the issues we did speak on earlier on, but first of all, we shall deal with this topic first. So thank you so much for being with us again. And we're also joined by Gladwell Kiragu also, who had a bit of a technical hitch on our first show earlier on. So I hope this time, Gladwell, you can hear me. Good morning.
Yes, a very good morning to you, Miriam. Good morning to our panelists, and good morning to our viewers.
All right. Thank you so much. So, of course, we've been talking about the price of commodities, the high cost of living, and the high prices that is being experienced in Kenya. We know it's not just a unique situation, in the country, but it is something that is being experienced across the world. But especially this artificial, fuel shortage that we are experiencing right now in the country. And the both of you did not have an opportunity to talk to weigh in on this matter earlier on because of the technical hitch. So perhaps you can pick it up from there, the fuel shortage and how perhaps it has affected you where you are, Gladwell Kiragu. Gladwell, can you hear me?
Miriam, can you come again?
I'm saying earlier on we had this conversation, but you had a bit of a technical hitch, like I think you're starting to have right now, where we were looking at the high prices of the fuel that I think has affected other things. But we also know that the high prices in Kenya have been there now for a while, and Kenyans are really feeling the effect. And so I just want to know the fuel artificial shortage. It is artificial shortage. There is fuel in the country, but because of some factors, Kenyans are not able to access that. It's not available in a lot of, gas stations for the past couple of days. So how has this impacted on you? Have you been affected?
Yes, it has affected me. And one thing I tell people, you find people, they're just rude, like, Juhauna Gary. And my comment is, just because you don't have a car doesn't mean it will affect you. It does affect you because currently even the prices are a little bit hiked, and that is affecting us as the normal Kenyans. And we know, as I said, Miriam, our issue could have been sorted a long time ago if only our government, if only our government what it did could look at us, to the farmers and the resources we have in the country. Our country currently would not be suffering the way we are. We need to start choosing our own resources before we think of importing from the rest, because the resources we have in Kenya, I'm sure the utilities we have are well maintained and well used. They can be of help to us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul Onyango. The fuel shortage, and I think even some public service vehicles have, I think, hiked their fare because of the shortage, the artificial shortage of fuel that the country is experiencing right now. Have you been impacted so far?
Yes, of course. As Miriam, as Gladwell has explained, to me, I would look at it in a different way. Because if you look at even our markets from the central bank, what we call the interest rate, percentage, it has increased by 0.5. That was beginning from first, which means the loans which people are already had, or those who are going to apply for new loans, the price of the loan will already have increased by 0.5. That is an effect. In fact, the high cost of living, it affects our prices. It affects what you are able to spend on. It affects what you are able to save. Because now you are being charged more on what you are supposed to spend on, which means you can save little, or you cannot save at all. Or some of us can go into the negative side. So even the ordinary Kenyans, even from especially the public service vehicles, where you used to spend maybe 50 bob, you are likely to spend maybe 20 shillings more on top. So it is something that is going on until I don't know unknown time. But our government has never done proper intervention, because the politics around formation of government. But you find that besides borrowing from Eurobond, still the same government is borrowing from the local government, which means part of the borrowing from the local banks also affect what the banks are able to provide as loans. It also affects what is able to be. It also affects the prices at which those loans are offered, and many other things.
All right.
Second to that, on the side of borrowing, okay, even when the government is borrowing, those loans are charged on them. The central bank is paying these loans at a certain fee. The same loans is our taxes. It also amount to our taxes, the way the taxes are charged each financial year. So the loans also affect what we are able to spend, all our internal prices within Kenya. So it is really work on government to look at these loans that have been borrowing. Are they giving value for money? Most of the loans that are borrowed is just all over corruption each time. That's my take.
All right, thank you so much for that. And we shall look at some of that in detail in a short bit. But for right now, I'd like for us to listen to a clip by Tanzania's President, Madam Hassan Suluhu, on her take on the current high cost of living. I think we looked at it yesterday, but I'd like for us to look at it because it's in line with what we are talking about, and then we can continue with this conversation.
Wabunge wenye maeneo yenu, mawaziri mnaosimamia sekta, waambieni wananchi ukweli. Vita ya Russia na Ukraine imepandisha sana bei ya mafuta. Na mafuta yanapopanda ndio kila kitu kinapanda. Nauli zitapanda, usafirishaji wa bidhaa zitapanda. Sasa hivi kutoa container kutoka China ya bidhaa kuleta Tanzania, wafanya biashara kwa wanalipa kwa container ya futi ya 40 nadhani dola 1,500. Sasa hivi ni dola 8,000 mpaka 9,000. Hii inakwenda kuingia kwenye bidhaa nazozileta. Kwa hiyo waambieni wananchi ukweli. Wasikae tu kulaumu serikali asemi kitu. Bei zinapanda za mafuta ya kula yamepanda.
All right. Thank you so much. So it's not really a problem that is uniquely Kenyan, but ours has been compounded by the hoarding of the oil right now. So that has made things a little bit worse for us here. But President Suluhu there is saying, there is a problem, and we have to tell our people there is a problem because of other external factors that has to do with the war in Ukraine and all that. And the price of things have really gone up. In March, and the month of March was a very hard month for the citizens of East Africa as the cost of living soared, leaving the poor staring at destitution, and businesses are reeling. The external factors, on the other hand, are the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, which puts pressure on the local manufacturers, the freight cost, the things that are coming from outside the country, and some of them, from still the start of COVID-19. The world was just starting to start again, and then this war happened. And of course, things have gone up by over 200% in some areas, and the current international crude oil prices, Ukraine and Russia are the top sources of things like sunflower oil in the world, with the former accounting for 46% of the exports, while the latter accounts for 23%. So that will advise why we see the prices of the cooking oil going up, because a lot of it comes from sunflower oil, while the situation has been largely blamed for the Russian invasion. Last month and the subsequent disruption of the global supply chain, citizens have been petitioning their governments to urgently find measures to cushion them. And we've seen here a hashtag that trended in the country about 2 months ago, and it still does just a little bit, asking the president to please lower the food prices here in the country. But a lot of this, the others that the government can respond to effectively, say this artificial oil shortage that the country is experiencing now, but there are others that are out of our hands. We can't really do anything about. So the ones that the government can actually do something about, Paul, what would be your message to the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta? Paul?
Yes. Okay. So far, what I can say, the government should up its game concerning the price intervention, whereby they provide fuel subsidies to the oil marketers, such that the stabilization of fuel prices across the country. Second to that, the government should also provide other alternative use of fuel, instead of the independent power producers well using fuel to provide additional grid to the Kenya Power for electricity consumption. The government should use, like for example, they should increase the use of they call it the steam power from our geothermal. Our geothermal sites, they need to be built more, because we have been blessed with this we have been blessed by the existence of these geothermal sites across the country, mainly in the Rift Valley. So when we increase the amount of power producing, we less rely on fuel. At least, even for example, the last time before the end of the year, the government promised that they are going to reduce the power for consumers. At least they have done it, and they should continue to do it more, such that there is the stability of prices across the country.
Okay, thank you so much. Onyango, so what you're saying is, the prices that were reduced for power, has that reflected on your power consumption?
Yes, at least when for example, the amount of units maybe you spend on 100 shillings, it used to be around the 12 units, maybe it's that increased to 13 or 14 there. So at least there's a bit of maybe 1 unit is added for 1 or 2 days on your side.
Okay, I guess that's some very good news and relief for a lot of Kenyans out there. Thank you so much, Gladwell. We know there are a couple of factors that perhaps the government can't help because they're external and they're advised by international, global chain. So it's difficult for the government to do anything about that. But for what the government can do here in the country, what would you tell the government to do? Gladwell? All right. I guess Gladwell is not able to hear us. Gladwell? I don't think she's there. So of course, last week the situation prompted a debate in cabinet and parliament, which resulted in a meeting on Friday between the Prime Minister and executives of companies that manufacture household items to persuade them to ease the prices and the cost of living. And of course, that a clip we just played, that was President Samia Suluhu, and she made those statements on March 8th, acknowledging the rising cost of living, blaming it on the change in commodity prices was due to rising global oil prices. The Samia administration last month announced the reduction by Tanzania shillings 100, that is about 0.04 US dollars, the levies charged on petrol, diesel, and kerosene to cushion the economy. So I think that is what you are saying also, Paul, that perhaps also it's about time, because this has been a recurring problem. It's about time we reviewed the taxes that have been imposed on our fuel that is making it very expensive. So if the taxes on fuel is expensive, then everything else will be expensive, is it?
Yes, of course.
All right, so maybe that is something that we can start by doing in Parliament. That is something that they can do, and those are policies they can put in place in order to cushion the normal monarchies. Of course, yesterday President Uhuru Kenyatta, who visited the AIC Pipeline Church in Nairobi County, President Kenyatta noted that Kenyans were unfairly bearing the brunt of international conflict. He noted that the current tension between Russia and Ukraine had led to a spike in oil prices and shortage of the same, and a jump in the cost of fertilizer, which is essential in food production in the country, especially to farmers. So it's a ripple effect. And during the start of this war, people were, a lot of people, so many people across the continent who perhaps do not understand the magnitude of how far-reaching the effects of this war would be. And somebody joked and said the effects, the tremors of this war will be felt down to the villages in Africa. And you're like, it's just Russia and Ukraine fighting, because a lot of fertilizer comes there and it goes right to our farmers down there in the villages. And now we see the cost of that war and how it is reeling, and the trickle down effect, and how we are feeling it today. So that means that the farmers who right now, the planting season, with the rains that has just started, I think people have started planting, and the prices of the fertilizer have gone up by a significant price. So how is this likely to affect our food production? And are we staring at another famine in the next coming months if the farmers are not able to afford this?
Okay. What I can say, where the conflict is already going on, is a major shipping line where global ship lines normally pass, the major shipping lines normally do to their trade. Since the war is situated along since the war is situated along where the normal supply for the global ship lines, it will be very difficult for the shipping lines normally to take a risk for the dangers that might come across due to the conflict ongoing. Most of the shipping line will shy away from passing along the Gulf line due to that conflict. So you will find it will take too long for some of the produce to be delivered in good time. And that will automatically will affect what?
The supply.
Will affect the other areas apart from their prices.
Okay. Very well. Yeah, that is true. And of course, Russia, Ukraine, right now, they're not thinking about, okay, let's export, the fertilizer. That's not even what they're doing right now. They're fighting. Russia is fighting Ukraine and all that. So they're not even thinking. So that's the effect of that, the lack of enough fertilizer in the market, that will be felt in the next coming months. I can assure you of that. Now in Kenya, back in Kenya, even as President Uhuru Kenyatta, said he understands and all that, leaders of Kenya Kwanza Alliance last week came out accusing the president and his government of allegedly being behind the shortage that has seen the pump prices hiked to a high of over 240 Kenya shillings per litre in some parts of the country. Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi questioned why there is shortage in the country, yet the neighboring country of Uganda is operating per normal. Mudavadi said on Twitter the government should tap into the fuel stabilization fund to cushion Kenyans at the pump. Recently, we saw the government divert funds for fertilizer to security. Is the same being done to the fuel fund? Truth is, the diverted funds are used in Azimio campaigns while Kenyans are suffering. So that is what Amani National Congress leader said last week. I don't know what's your comments on that?
I think they are not sincere in the sense that if it is so, it is Parliament where most of these things are discussed. Amani National Congress has legislators, even those who are supporting UDA formerly from Jubilee. They are members of Parliament, both Senate and National Assembly. So it is not it does not make any sense where their leaders are making statements outside Parliament, where they can go to Parliament, pass a bill or process a bill that will make effect of the same. If it could have been in that in the sense that the members of the Parliament had passed a law ensuring it is like what they are saying, ensuring that the prices are low or Kenyans are cushioned through other legislations, it will be much fair for them. We hear from them speaking to the government, because probably that law has been passed, but the government is not ensuring it is done. But here comes a case whereby they're only making political statements in rallies, rather than going to Parliament, passing a bill, ensuring that that thing is done or it is implemented. So it is not sincere at all.
And I think that is the amazing thing with our politicians. They're very loud out there. You know, they will call out the government and things that they think the government is not doing right. But they do have the power. You know, we can complain because we're citizens and maybe we can't do much about it other than make noise, which Kenyans know how to do that very well. But these members of Parliament especially, they do have the power to sit in Parliament and debate and ratify and change these policies and these laws that will, you know, in effect address that problem. But unfortunately, and when you look at the answer from Parliament, a lot of these politicians who make noise out here, they don't even speak in that Parliament. And these problems can be effectively addressed on the floor of Parliament. So that is the quagmire I think we find ourselves in as citizens in this country, because they're not doing their job there effectively. This law, these levies on fuel, this is a conversation that has been ongoing. This is something that something has to be done about it, and of course the other problem that has caused this artificial shortage. I'm hoping that, the stakeholders there are continuing with the talks, because we need a solution to that very, very, very quickly. Now in Kenya, manufacturers had issued an alert over the impending decision to increase prices for finished products as the cost of crude oil soars to $130 a barrel amid escalating war between Russia and Ukraine, which has taken a toll on the global economy, pushing households to the verge of financial distress. Oil prices have surged by more than 30% since Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th, and the deteriorating situation in the Eastern Europe's neighboring states has sent oil skyrocketing to more than $130 a barrel, its highest price since the global financial crisis. And so the situation is so bad that Kenya had the cheapest diesel in the region. A litre of diesel cost about $0.99 compared to $1.04 in Tanzania. So in Tanzania, it's even much higher. And in Uganda, it's also much higher. So I don't know why people saying Uganda is cheaper. Uganda, it's much higher, and also Burundi, it's much higher. It's only that right now we have the artificial shortage, but the fuel prices across, especially for diesel, Kenya is the one that has the cheapest, prices. I know people say, we go, the ones who live near the border, we go to a fuel in Uganda because it's It's cheaper, but currently it's not. That is not the situation. The situation is Kenya actually has the prices here. It's much lower compared to there. But now, in the last couple of days, it has gone up because of the artificial shortage. So anyway, it is a ripple effect, as we've said there. So I don't think there's anything much that we're going to add, to this. But perhaps your final thoughts, Paul, when it comes to politicization of the economies, understanding very well that there are factors that perhaps have led us to where we are today. When politicians take on such issues and perhaps speak about them out of context and continue to misinform the people, in essence, even inside the people in some instances, what are the dangers of this when politicians are not objective when looking at certain matters like the state of the economy?
Okay, one thing that I've observed in Kenya, mostly our politicians, they take advantage of the lack of awareness in most, especially where some of these sentiments are taken to in villages, where many people don't have enough knowledge of what is going on. So and then they take the advantage of the vulnerable youth, those who want to have something at least for a day. When they make such sentiments, they direct the blame to the government of the day, of which they are part of that government of the day. So instead of lamenting about the government of the day, they're supposed to be offering some solution, practical solutions, at least to the youth, so that at least when you remove a small age, the youth are also seeing that our leaders are doing something. But contrary even to the youths, the people who talk to them, they just give them empty talk. Only small things that will make them disrupt meetings or disrupt peace is what they count on. It is good that we need to inform our people, especially the leaders. They should make sentiments that make the people feel or have adequate knowledge, such that they are able to take an appropriate action, in the sense that they are able to, whatever they tell them, make sense in their life, not to make them react to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a very unfortunate in Kenya. Most of our leaders, they take advantage of the poor state of the society. They exploit it, and other things come out which are not very good.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you so much. And I see a lot of our viewers from the diaspora who want us to look at other matters in Nigeria and the rest of the world. I will do that. Please join me back here at 3 p.m. with Diaspora Dispatches, where we shall be looking at news from across the continent of Africa. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Paul Onyango. And of course, Cladwell Kirago had a bit of a technical hitch, so she left the conversation a bit earlier. It has been a pleasure. I'll see you much later. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Bye-bye for now.